Hello and welcome to the Emotional Endurance Movement.
I'm Crimson.
And I'm Laurie. We are here to have the conversations about the lemon in the room and to talk about how we're coping with it.
So, I want to know, how do you know when you're running on empty? Like, how do you know? I guess that's the first question. Is do you recognize when you are on empty? And what are the triggers that make you realize that you're on empty?
For sure. So one of the gifts of conscious coping and really having paying attention to my coping since I developed this concept is that I now know I'm pretty much able to suss out where I am on the scale. Although the tool we developed really helped because I've had a hard time digging into like where exactly some of those outages are. So our emotional endurance inventory has been like a fun little add-on to help me understand a little bit better that part of it. But I pretty much know, and I say that with a little bit of self-judgment, maybe a lot of bit of self-judgment, because I'm pretty sure if you came into my house, you would also know because the number one way I know if I'm emotionally exhausted is if the mail is out of control in my home.
Interesting. That would have been an indicator for my mom. She's really bad
Yeah.
with the mail.
Like it just feels like life gets real heavy and it's like I can't deal with envelopes. Thank you very much. And whatever uncertain information or additional task or other BS might be within them. So I'm not a fan when I'm emotionally exhausted. I'm not a fan ever. I like getting
Yeah.
packages delivered to myself, but me and mail, I don't know. And it's
I'm with
interesting
you.
if you read my first book, I spend an entire section talking about how if we don't attend to our feelings, it's like neglecting the mail that's coming into our house
And then do you neglect
routinely.
your mail?
And it just goes and then I did it. 3 years later, I'm like looking around and I'm like, oh my. They do say writers write what they know, right? You
Yeah,
know?
that's exactly right. I mean that's
So
fascinating. Yeah, that's a good indicator.
and it happens, I really want to say, like, because I really am in a good place. It has been a challenging couple of years for me in a lot of ways, but like launching this project, getting it off the ground, like things are feeling good. I feel like my psychological capital is pretty in a pretty good place. I feel like my coping's pretty good, and I'm still crawling out of what was a challenging period of my life. And I think we got to give ourselves, I think that's one thing I've been really trying to work on with myself is like to give myself grace for the baby steps. Like, yeah, I'm still working through the mail, but every day it's feeling like more and more accessible. And I'm taking small steps every single day. And part of what's happening right now is not reflective of like bad things going on in my life. It's reflective of growing through something and normalizing that even when like things are good and things are headed your way, you still got to figure out how you kind of cope with it all because I do recognize that if I don't get the mail under control, it's going to continue to be a pain in my ass and to
Hmm.
cause me problems in other areas of my life. And I'm over it. I'm done. I'm through this toxic dynamic I have with the mail. So stay tuned to the YouTube channel because I'm sure I'll be making a doozy of a video about that when I finally figure out how I'm going to interrupt this cycle and be done with it because I really am. So that's my number one cue. But some others, well, let me hear your number one cue. And then I've got some others that are like the yellow flags on the way there.
I have so many. But I mean, okay, let's take home, like our homes.
Yeah.
Laundry. This is the most vulnerable thing I've ever said out loud, but I'm saying it because I have a feeling when I say it, there's going to be so many people that relate to it that like people are going to ask me to run for president because I'm just so relatable. So, we are very blessed to have an extra bedroom in our house that we call the playroom, and it's conveniently located next door to we live in a 100-year-old home. So it's a closet that's been converted into like a stackable laundry situation. I actually bought the new product, a wash tower. Highly recommend them. It's just instead of stackable, it's one unit. It's really cool. And it's smaller. Anyway, so you can basically tell where I am in my overwhelmness based on the room adjacent, the playroom, and the pile of clean laundry. So, like, I'm really good at making sure that it
Yes.
gets clean. I'm really sure it gets
Yes.
clean and it gets dry. And then, like, theoretically, I have a basket for each human that lives with us. I mean, the playroom is basically a laundry room, as you can tell. But there's a basket for each human, and I just put sort it, right?
Yeah.
But so you can tell where I am based on if there's a mountain, how big the mountain is, if it's sorted or unsorted. Like there's different metrics. So like huge mountain, very overwhelmed, sorted in individual baskets. I'm firing on most cylinders. In their rooms to be put away is like
Your
I'm nailing it.
green means go.
I've never really seen that state yet, except maybe like two or three times. But like, it happens.
You've seen it, you just haven't seen it sustained. And that
Yeah.
I think a lot of times
Yeah.
we'll disregard successes because they weren't sustained. But like think about it. Oh, let me use terms you'll understand, my dear 80s baby. Think about it like you're learning the skip it. You didn't just skip it the first time 10
Mm-mm.
times, right? You
No.
skipped it once and then you fell over it and you skinned your knee and you got messed up by it, but you
Yeah.
got back up to skip it 2 times in a row.
Skip It's fun though. Don't compare Skip It to laundry. Like I'm really willing to give up all of my agency in this world if a robot will do my laundry.
Well, I think it's good that cost benefit analysis for
Yes,
you
I've
there.
done it. I'm
I think that's
waiting.
I think that's good.
I'm here
I
for
think that's
it.
good. But isn't it funny? Like my mom loves to fold laundry. Like that's her chore that she loves to do. And
My
like
sister
I've got stuff grocery shopping. I don't mind grocery shopping. I love to grocery shop.
too.
Like my sister does dishes. Like she loves to do dishes. You know what? Like everybody's got their own kind of, again, this goes to the cost benefit analysis, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting to know like what is that task that is your bottom of your list, that is if you are short on energy, if you are overwhelmed, if you are dysregulated, is most likely to go. And this is part of mental health that I wish we talked about more.
Yeah.
In that part of the presentation of mental health is our hygiene. And we often will judge each other of it and be very performative with it. But like the truth of the matter is like if you're struggling to take care of your space or your body, or your general well being, that is often a mental health issue. And
Right.
that may be a great time to think about bringing in a professional, a therapist. They can really help you to build the foundational skills to learn how to develop that relationship with yourself through whatever's causing you that challenge. But I think we do kind of have to normalize that this isn't pathology we're talking about. This is real ways that our mental and emotional energy get reflected
Right. And
in
this
our
is not reflective of
spaces.
like some mental health problem. It's just I'm
No, this is
exhausted
just
and I look at that
life.
mountain of laundry and I go and dump the next load on it and it's like your
Yeah.
mail. It just starts piling up and I'm just
It just
like
starts piling up and then you start eyeballing it like,
and
and
then
it's
I hope
telling you
like,
like, oh,
the husband's gonna
it's
come in with a
judging
cape
you.
and just like fix it
Oh
all.
yeah.
And I
Just fix it
mean,
all.
sometimes he does,
Just what'd you say about agency? Okay, now I understand. I would probably give up my agency as well to have a robot to deal with the mail. I mean,
right?
if it include follow-ups too, like the whole life cycle,
Okay, do
yeah,
you
that's
really
gonna be
get
a pretty easy sell
actionable
for me.
mail?
So yeah, because I am the guardian of three
Oh,
people, we get a lot of mail. We
and
get a
they
lot
and
of mail,
to elderly, yeah, you have
and we get a
Medicare.
lot of junk mail, and it takes time to like look and see what's correct, what's real versus what they make ads and stuff that are looks. I mean, it's just a real pain. And my husband does help. He is a part of this, but he has the same aversion I have. I'm just like, gosh, like two people that hate it, and it just sucks. So it's something I'm working through. Like I said, I think it's going to be a great coping challenge for me. Maybe this next cycle to try and figure out how I can address that. Maybe it sounds like laundry for you is a little bit that way too. There might be some opportunities
Mm.
there. But I think a lot of the opportunity is about changing the judgment and the narrative and the mindset about it and finding ways to engage with the natural discomfort that comes with the mail and comes with the laundry. And that
Well,
sounds like unsexy, but it's important.
well, and to forgive ourselves for it. Like, my
Yeah.
son throws the laundry thing in my face. Like, I'll be like, how can you be bored? You have a whole room of toys. And he's like, you mean the laundry mountain? And it's like, you little turd.
You can still go
Like,
play with those toys.
yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I did not guarantee a perfected experience. Get the toy and take it to your own room. Like, but he totally hangs that in my face, which just enables me and to empower him to take on more responsibility. So, I think he's learning that that's like not the best approach.
Yeah. So, okay, so let's talk yellow flags. We talked the red flags. We know what are yellow flags are, or red flags. My yellow flag is when I'm like short with people. Like when I don't have the ability to like shift into a conversation if I need to and really pay attention. That to me is a huge yellow flag.
I mean, I've never really thought about it, but I might say the same because, as you know, I have a pretty strong text game, and I think that part of it is
It's
that.
bonkers.
Oh no, I mean it really, I mean, like it's a job in a way, but like I
Yeah.
really enjoy it, and I have so many amazing people that are vulnerable with me, that want to engage with me, that want to tell me about their day. And so I really take it, I don't want to say seriously, it's not like a job, but I enjoy getting them and I enjoy responding. But you're right, when I'm starting to kind of spiral into like chaos of life, like those pings are a little bit jarring versus like,
Yeah.
oh, what's going on, and like engaging. So yeah, that would be a yellow flag for me too. And just the general just being short with people. Like, I hate that part of
Yeah.
depletion. Like, not being able to give myself to the people that matter the most, like whatever project I'm working on doesn't matter as much as my kids, but it is what it is. Again, grace.
Yeah, for sure. I think we really have to. A big part of conscious coping and like building our emotional endurance is just making space for these things
Yeah.
and not necessarily feeling the need to apologize for them or explain them or really give them much attention at all. Just really acknowledging and being like, yeah, that's a thing and I can't change that. It is what it is.
Right.
Um, I think another, like speaking about it is what it is, another yellow flag for me as somebody who has suffered from depression across my life. And unfortunately, I have a pretty significant family history of it as well. So I do believe that there's just something in my genetics and neurochemicals that just runs a little different. But I'm happy to say I've really learned how to cope effectively with it. I would have seasons of depression that would really take me down dark paths of self sabotage and isolation. And I'm not there anymore. I'm really, really happy to not be there again anymore. And I have an understanding that there's things I can do to help me from getting there, and also an understanding that it might happen again. It might happen again multiple times in my life. Both are true. So I feel very balanced in the way I approach it, but it does show up as a big yellow flag for me specifically. And I think some people with depression may feel this way. It may ring true, others it may not, but it's a hard thing to understand if you haven't experienced it. But when depression hits, it's like this urge to stay really small and really still
Hmm.
and to like not move and to not get up. And this is where we get like kind of the stereotype of the person who's depressed just laying on the couch, sleeping, really just disengaged. And that to me can show up in small, even when I'm doing well like I am right now, like that kind of urge can really show up, and I have to be really intentional with making sure that like I'm moving every day, I'm engaging every day, I'm trying to get out of the house more. Crimson, you and I have talked about this like post COVID, especially because I had two babies over that period of time. Like I have just been such a homebody, and I've really enjoyed that, and I've enjoyed almost the isolation from people a little bit. I think it's getting to the point where it's not really healthy or helpful anymore. And it's time to go back and build up that skill set of getting out and talking to people and engaging and building relationships. Because the flip side of that is I now kind of am waking up to feeling lonely,
Right.
to kind of for the first time in my adult life. And I know this happens to a lot of women a lot of parents, I'll say, after they become parents, it's not just women, where it's kind of like everything has changed socially and you don't really know who
Yeah.
you are or how you're connected, and the urge to kind of cope with that by just continuing to avoid and stay small and to isolate is strong in me, and it's certainly stronger when I don't feel like, particularly my psychological capital really influences this. If I
Well, of
don't
course,
feel
you don't feel
hopeful,
efficacious or
optimistic,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like, and that to me is definitely a yellow flag, and it's one that's specific to me and my pathology. Although I think that there will be other people that will get this, but all this to say, it's really, and it's frustrating for me as somebody who's depressed, who gets depression has who gets depression.
Depresh. New
Anyway,
word.
depressed. It's just a titch touch of
You'll
depression.
hear that in middle schools across America shortly.
Across America. Um, but as somebody who's experienced it, it's really hard to understand if you haven't experienced it. It can be so frustrating to be like to the depressed person, get off the couch, go do something. And in fact, I've seen this again with my education, my experience. I've seen this play out in my life where it's easy to judge those around you who are going through it because it makes no rational sense. But please know that it makes no rational sense to them either, and they're dealing with that same frustration. And that's part of the kind of nasty beast that is depression, is you got to learn how to tolerate that truth while also working for a better day.
Exactly. And you bring up a good point of the meshing of depression with psychological capital. And I think it's important for everyone to remember that all of these things are all, it's multifaceted, and that, you know, if you do have a tendency for anxiety, depression, psychological capital, your hope, efficacy, optimism, resilience, all of that, keeping that strong also helps fight off some of the more tragic aspects of mental health. So while these skills help people that may not slip into depression, may not suffer from anxiety, they also really can are preventative.
Yeah.
They're prophylactic in some kind of way. Like,
Yeah.
the
I
more
mean,
you sit
it's
in the
no
discomfort
different
and
than
learn about
taking
it.
medication. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's just like taking medication. It can be part of your treatment plan. And in fact, a lot of therapy is focused on how do you cope with this. It's just our argument is that you shouldn't have to wait to be in front of a therapist to be equipped and to be empowered to answer that question on your own. And I am so sorry. I spoke over you. I got so excited.
totally fine.
Well, this was another great conversation. Thank you so much for joining me and talking about this particular lemon in the room. It's been juicy.
To say the least. Yeah, no, I always enjoy it, Laurie. Have a great day.